Welcome to the 28-day Plant Strong and Healthy group coaching program. So did everybody get to have a look at the videos today, the ones that I sent on WeChat? Okay, cool. And you got the downloads of the PDFs and all of that? And were you able to download Dr. Greger's recipe cookbook? Excellent. Now, I have a lot of goodies for you. I have a lot of them. I will probably talk more towards the end. We'll get on topic straight away. So let me see, share screen. Okay. So PowerPoint. Slideshow. Okay. Let's go. So can you let me know if you can see my screen? Can you? Okay. Can you see that now? Cool. Okay, so tonight's topic is on what is a whole food plant-based and a whole food plant-based no oil diet. So that's a very good question for a lot of people. Okay, so let's, whoops, click. Okay, so we have a few terms. WFPB is whole food plant-based. And you often see this as, the next one you see is whole food plant-based plus no NO. It stands for no oil. Okay, let's have a look. Now, this is one of the doctors that is part of what we would say is the plant-based community. Dr. Michael Greger is, he's been in this field for, he's been in it as long as I've been plant-based. I went plant-based 38 years ago, you see. Nearly 39 years ago. So it was around about that time that people started opening up and thinking about it, but it was a very, very small community. It started with a man, it started with a man called Nathan Pritikin. He suffered a lot of health issues, and he did a lot of research, and he discovered that if he went on a plant-based diet, he could heal himself of a lot of the symptoms that he was having. He had chronic cardiac problems. He lost a lot of weight. He cleared up his cholesterol. He became a runner. So it was around about that time that there was information being spread out, mostly came from America, about being plant-based for health reasons. The word vegan wasn't very commonly used. Vegan was, the term vegan started in the 1940s, but it wasn't spoken of. And we'll look shortly how this is not, whole food plant-based is not necessarily vegan. Whole food plant-based as a term, I would say, was only started to be used around about 10 years ago. So according to Dr. Greger, in his book, How Not to Die, and also in his recipe book, a whole food plant-based diet is a diet that eliminates all animal products such as meat, eggs, dairy, anything that is processed. That can also include, foods that are made by yourself but have not necessarily the correct ingredients. Like, so for example, you can spoil a complete dish by adding something that is not what's known as compliant. Okay, so let me see, but it does allow for there is a little about allowance. So for example, tinned. You can have tinned food on a whole food plant-based diet. But the conditions are that it must be in as close to its natural form as possible. So for example, let's take chickpeas. A lot of people don't have the time or do not want to dedicate the time to making their own legumes, like cooking their own legumes. So it is perfectly okay to buy, for example, tinned beans, but you just need to check that there's no salt or other additives to them, okay? Because let's put it this way, the food industry care more about profits than about your health. You cannot assume just because it's on the shelf that it's safe to eat. And that has come at our detriment, our health detriment, increasingly more into our attention over the last few decades. So the other side of it is, we don't talk about what it isn't, let's talk about what it is. It maximizes the intake of fruits, vegetables, legumes, which is beans, chickpeas, lentils, also certain types of peas, for example, green peas are legumes. Whole grains, nuts and seeds, mushrooms, herbs and spices. So it's basically real food in its rawest form. And it comes directly out of the ground, not out of a factory. Okay, so those are our healthiest choices, and that is what our body is more able to digest and assimilate with. Okay, so next one. Can you see this wording? Because I've got everybody's pictures for it. Okay, so let me see. I don't know how to. Anyway, the closer we are to a whole food plant-based diet, which really means whole foods in their natural unprocessed state, the more we will be in good health and live a long life. This is not vegan propaganda, okay? For many years, the whole food plant-based health industry struggled because it was seen as being promoting veganism. We'll have a quick look at what the differences are. But the evidence, the medical evidence shows that societies and communities of people, the closer they are to eating food in its most natural state, are the healthiest people on this planet. Now, as we go through the course, we'll learn about these people, and most of them are in what's known as blue zones. Just nod your head if you've heard of a blue zone. Never heard of a blue zone? Okay. No? Okay, Mahali, and we can't see your head. Okay. Okay. Blue. See? White hair, blue rinse set. Okay. So a blue zone is where you find people who have lived the longest. Most people in a blue zone, they live in excess of 100 years. Okay, you have a very high percentage of centenarians, I think the word is, that's how you pronounce it. Now, have you heard of places around the world where people have lived for a very long time? If you know of one, just unmute and say where. America's got a couple. Cheryl?
Japan.
Japan is one, yep. Have you heard of a place called Loma Linda in America?
No, never.
Darcy, you've heard?
Yeah, I used to live in Redlands, which is right next to Loma Linda.
Right. Loma Linda has, now let me see, what's the name of the religious group? The Seventh-day Adventists?
Yes,
The
there's a lot.
Seventh-day Adventists, yes. One of the biggest studies on plant-based eating is the Seventh-day Adventist study. And it examined the differences between, because Seventh-day Adventists come in gradations of eating plant-based. You have people who are completely vegan, plant-based. Then you have people who are vegetarian. And then you had some omnis. So they did a study of these people in Loma Linda, and they came up with some very, very interesting statistics, evidence-based statistics to show that the closer your diet was to a whole food plant-based, the lower your mortality and your morbidity factors are. Now, with COVID-19, you probably heard the doctors talking about COVID-19, talking about morbidity factors. Have you heard of that? Morbidity factors. Well, morbidity means death factors. Like, so it's the factors that are most likely to cause you to die a sudden death or die of a disease rather than an accident or old age. I would even go out at a limb and say that most people, the vast majority of people, die of some morbidity factor rather than old age. The evidence shows that if we were able to eat a very pure, healthy plant-based diet, and we had eliminated stress and pollution and toxic influences, the chances are that quite a lot of people would live to be around about 110, 120 years of age, which sounds really extreme, but there is evidence to show that that is somewhere around about our real life span. So if we look at these blue zones, we tend to find a high number of centenarians. And if we look at what they have been eating, there's a lot of similarities, okay? So for example, sweet potato. A lot of these societies, the people have at their root of their diet, most of their calories come from root vegetables. Okay, there's a blue zone in South America. I've forgotten the name of it. Japan is one. There is one in China. It's way up in the mountainous area, and unfortunately, it's starting to disintegrate because the younger people are not adopting the same diet as their ancestors did. So in these blue zones, the food that these people eat tends to be starch-based. And there is another thing is that there tends to be a high percentage of green vegetables. There's no added oils, or even if they do eat a little bit of animal product, it is extremely sparingly, okay? And the other thing that's very interesting is they tend to undereat. They do not eat. You do not find obesity amongst them. They tend to be a lot smaller. The people tend to be a lot thinner, okay? Now, if you actually have a look at a lot of the plant-based, let's say the plant-based medical professionals, people like Dr. McDougall, Dr. Clapper, Dr. Bernard, Dr. Esselstyn, Dr. Campbell, you have a look at them, they're all well over the age of 60, some of them are even 90 years of age, and they're very slender, very thin people. Following a whole food plant-based no oil diet usually means that your body operates at a very, from a caloric point of view, it operates extremely efficiently. During the course of this program, you'll get to meet a few people. I've got friends in Australia who are actually friends with most of these plant-based doctors in America. But because of the time difference, we're going to be focusing on our Australian plant-based professionals. Dr. Malcolm Mackay, hopefully will be joining us next Thursday. I just have to tee up a time for him. We may have to have it a little bit earlier. It may need to be about 6 o'clock because they're 2 hours ahead in Melbourne. And his partner, Jenny Cameron, who's a nutritionist. We're also going to be meeting Peter Johnston, who is a plant-based dietitian, and another man called Andrew Taylor, also known as Spudfit. And he's an Australian man who was quite obese, and he lost 45 kilos in 1 year by just eating a potato diet. Remember what I said about these blue zones? The people primarily lived on a starch-based diet. So they were sweet potatoes and yams. Spudfit Taylor did that, and he went like that. He's written a book about it, and he's got his own website, a Facebook page, but he will be joining us in the 3rd week. And what I'm hoping is that I can get you enough information before you meet these people so that you have the grounding, you can ask them their experience. So don't trust anything I say, don't believe anything I say. Look at the evidence, okay? The evidence will show you the truth, okay? And so we've got these other people that will talk about their own experiences. I've got a whole lot of videos lined up for you. If you get a chance to watch them on the day as we go, that would be brilliant, but I understand people are busy. If you can't do that, then just catch up towards the end of the week, okay? But I'm hoping that you will have enough information and knowledge, enough grounding to be able to extract as much information out of these people because they're a fabulous resource, okay? So let's look at the next. Here we go. So it's not surprising that so many people are confused. If we take the typical person is a person who believes that they are omnivorous, okay? Human beings are not omnivores. If anything, we are opportunistic omnivores. It is not our ideal diet. It is not our optimal diet, okay? So this is my belief that the way to describe this is opportunistic omnivores. So people choose to eat omnivorously and they have the opportunity to eat omnivorously because of the position that human beings take in the food chain, so to speak. But it's not the diet that is good for our bodies, okay? So what are the alternatives to that? Because that's the dominant mode of eating. That is the dominant paradigm around eating, is opportunistic omnivorism. Okay, we've got some others, the alternatives. We've got vegan, we've got plant-based, hang on, I wish I had a little pointer stick. I think that's it. You can see the arrow. We've got vegan, we've got plant-based, we've got whole food plant-based, and we've got whole food plant-based, no oil. The one that I didn't add there was a raw whole food plant-based, okay? Okay, I didn't put it in, but let's assume that we can talk about that, okay? So a vegan, let me see. Okay, a vegan chooses to eat that way for ethical reasons. They may include processed foods in their diet. They do not include meat, dairies, eggs, or honey. And the belief system also extends to clothing, items of personal use, and way of living and behavior. Our program, the 28-day Plant Strong and Healthy program, it's not a program teaching you how to be vegan. If you want to be vegan, that's fine. You can talk to me about it anytime you like. I am also a vegan. But this is a program to achieve optimal health. And let's have a look at it. We have whole food, plant-based, no oil. I think I've written no oil. I have written no oil, haven't I? I've got Cheryl and Darcy sitting over there. I don't know how to shift the people. Anyway, so a whole food, plant-based, no oil diet. There is no animal.
If you want to shift them, you just, the top bar, you can drag it to the bottom of the screen.
Oh. And
then you can drag our faces down and we'll be at the bottom of the screen rather than on the side.
Yeah, the problem with that is I can't see everybody.
Yeah,
oh.
you can do the tiles, see show grid video, and then you'll see everybody.
Oh, bless you. I've seen all this Saturday Night Live skits where they're making fun of people. all learning how to use Zoom.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I did
Okay.
it for 2 months, so I know all the little tricks.
It's funny because my at the moment I'm taking all these videos and I've got this fancy camera, and you'll notice that with some of my videos the sound fades out. It's because the phone has got a problem. But I am on, while you guys are on a rapid learning curve for whole food plant-based and how to do that, to me that's like falling off a log. For me, I'm on a rapid curve with all this technology and going online, so we're well matched. Okay, so let's get back to it. Whole food, plant-based, no oil, no animal products, no processed foods, okay, with some caveats, okay. So, for example, you can get some flatbreads, and I will be sending you samples of these items that are compliant. It means no oil, limited salt and sugar, and food is close to its natural state, and the food is chosen for health reasons. Okay. Now, one of the things that I would point out, let's see if I've got anything else. Okay, so plant-based. I wonder if I can go back. Okay, so I just want to point out this is not a competition. Our program is not a competition. If we, at the rate that we're traveling, I try to keep it so that everybody can keep up. If you find that you want more, okay, just PM me, and I have got lots and lots of resources. If you're very interested in a particular module, say perhaps dairy or heart disease or something like that, just let me know and I will give you more resources for it. But if you're finding it hard to keep up, don't stress out, because one of the things that we've done is we've made this program so that you can repeat it as many times as you like and as many times as you need to. Because as I was saying to Darcy today, Darcy came to visit me at the centre, my guess is the content of this, you will be lucky if you're able to retain 30 to 40% of it, okay? There's a lot to take in, particularly if you have not been exposed to this in a very systematic way, okay? So don't stress out, you work at your own pace, and that includes with the recipes and the tasks and making your menu, okay? So let's have a little discussion about this part here, whole food, plant-based, no oil. I'll just give you a little bit of a heads up with this. As we go through the program, you will discover that there are differences in whole food, plant-based diets. You have the whole food, you have plant-based. You'll hear people saying that they're plant-based. You'll hear people saying that they're whole food, plant-based. And you'll also hear people saying that they're whole food, plant-based, SOS, which means salt, oil, and sugar free, okay? Now, why would you have so many categories of everything that was not vegan and everything that was not opportunistically omnivore? Does anybody have any ideas? Please feel free.
I think that there's so many categories just because we, they want to make sure when we tell somebody this is how we eat, like say you're going to someone's house or whatever, if you tell them, I'm vegan, they might wonder what that means, because, like if I have this little card that I was given by someone actually from the Plants for Planet or festival that we did last year. They gave me this little digital card that basically says, like, I'm a vegan, I don't eat meat, I don't eat da-da-da-da-da. Because if Habib and I have gone to restaurants before and said just simply we don't eat meat, and then, they bring out fish or they bring out something else. So you need all those specific categories so that people understand what you mean and what you are willing to eat.
Sure. Yeah, that's very true. It's what you're willing to eat. And we can define it by those definitions. One of the other ways that we have is the level, it's related to the medical situation, okay? So for example, plant-based, you often find people who are plant-based, who say that they're plant-based, who do actually eat some animal products, okay? So you might come across someone who says, oh yeah, we're plant-based. They don't identify as a vegan because they haven't chosen to eat that way because of ethical reasons. They have accepted that eating plants is good for is better for their health, but they don't follow it so strictly. So they might have a bit of meat, animal products a couple of times a week or something like that. Okay, so you will hear people, I'm giving you the heads up here, you will hear people who refer to themselves as plant-based, who do include a bit of animal products here and there. They are more likely to be the type of people who go out to dinner, who live a plant-based diet, and they go out to dinner and unfortunately there's not what they want to eat, so they eat what is available, or they may go to somebody else's place. I believe Prince, what's his name? Not Meghan Markle. Meghan Markle. Mm-hmm. Prince. Not Prince. What's the name of Prince William's younger brother? Prince Harry. Prince Harry's wife, Meghan Markle. I think she refers to herself as plant-based. Okay, because from Monday to Friday she eats plant-based, and then on the weekends it's what happens. Okay, so that's if you hear someone saying that they're plant-based. Now, if you hear someone saying that they're whole food plant-based, then the chances are that they have elected to become plant-based for their health reasons. You see, the thing is that someone who refers themselves to plant-based probably wouldn't have a problem eating beyond meat, okay? They don't identify as a vegan, and they may or may not eat products that are processed, but the thing is that it is less likely that they are in it for their own health reasons, or it's less likely that they're trying to reverse a health condition. When you come across people who say that they are whole food plant-based, they are usually people who've done their homework. They have realized that their previous patterns of eating have caused or have significantly contributed to their health issues. And as such, they are going to make more conscious decisions about the type of foods that they consume. Okay, you will probably find that there are more whole food plant-based books and recipes available and websites and things like that than whole food plant-based no oil. Okay, and also the other thing is, once again, because this is not about ethical issues, this is about you and your health. Okay, you get to decide exactly where on that continuum you are going to be. Okay, it's not me who decides it. As your coach, you can come to me and say, I'm currently here and I don't feel very good and I want to be here, and I will sit with you and I will help you to work out a strategy to help you to get to the point that you want to be. And then if you achieve that, you could go to the next stage, okay? Remembering that the closer we are to a whole food plant-based diet in its rawest form, in its most basic form, the healthier we are going to be. And that requires a lot of tweaking, especially in the early stages, because quite often a lot of us have been living our lives. Oh my gosh, I forgot to record this. Oh well.
No, you've been recording it. If you look at the top, yes.
Oh, cool. I didn't even know that. Okay, so what happens is that because we get to decide what level of health we want to achieve, that then directly influences the choices that we make about the food that we're going to be making and how fast we transition to a whole food plant-based no oil diet. Okay, now I will let you know I have plans to live to be about 120. And I have had that in my head since, now let me see, I think I was about 6 or 7 years of age. I remember it very, very clearly. I was lying on cut grass at Thornland State School, and it was very cool. It must have been around about September in Australia. And I was lying there staring up at the brilliant blue sky with the fluffy clouds. And I had this realization that I was going to be around for an awfully long time. Okay. So I hope that you're around to see whether that's true. And it looks as though I'm actually pretty much on target. I've had a couple of, I don't want to make this about me, but just so to let you know it's possible. I've had a couple of health checks, and in fact, Dr. Malcolm Mackay is actually my plant-based physician, and it has come back all the time that my body is much younger than my chronological years. It doesn't mean that I don't suffer any health issues at all. I actually do have some, but they're more mechanical. I have a problem with my neck from all this computer work, but generally speaking, I'm very healthy for my age. And so that I say that as an incentive to you, because I'm going to give you a PDF. We'll probably close this fairly quickly, and then I'll open it up for questions and answers. I will give you a PDF that has my story in it, and you can see that I was definitely not raised plant-based, okay? So I do understand what it's like to be not plant-based. Now, just very, very quickly, we're going to go into it in this program, is we're going to have a look at the different health issues and the disorders and the problems that happen with people's health. We will have a look at which ones can be reversed. And of course, if they can be reversed, they can be prevented. And as such, what tweaks in the diet that we need to do. So for example, you may have a family and you don't have anybody in that family under the age of 40 who has any heart problems or high blood pressure or hypertension. There's no underlying morbidities. You could probably have a diet that included avocados and nuts and seeds in moderate amounts. What we would say is yellow light foods, which is something we'll go into a little bit further. There's red light foods, which are foods that you don't touch. They're processed, they're animal products, they're oils. Red light, do not go there. You've got yellow light foods that you can have, but you have them in small or moderate quantities. And then you have green light foods. These green light foods, you can eat as much as you like. Spinach, okay? Quite a few of the fruits, lots and lots of green vegetables, carrots, all of these sorts of things. These are your green light foods, okay? I won't spend too much time about this because we will actually have a little class on this, okay? And there's a lot of information and it will be repeated over and over again, okay? So I think that's probably about it for me. Did I get it in 20 minutes? I hope I did. So out for me, open, the floor's now open. You can ask questions as you like. And I'm going to make this larger so I can see everybody. Is it? To make it larger? No, I didn't. Okay, well, whatever.
Hey, hi Dennis. This is.
Hi, Kuldeep.
I have a question. I'm not clear about what is the difference between plant-based and whole food plant-based food.
Okay, so you will hear people referring to themselves as plant-based. So let's say you have vegans, okay, and vegans choose to be they eat plants because of ethical reasons. So you find some people who are vegans will eat the Beyond Burger, and they'll have you know, vegan chocolate, and they have let's say well, it's Just Egg, which is a vegan version of an egg, which tastes exactly like egg, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
So they eat that way because of ethical reasons. So someone who eats plant-based is actually very similar to what a person who is vegan, but they don't have the ethics behind it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, so saying that, you are probably going to observe people who refer to themselves as plant-based because there's no ethical reason for them not to eat any animal products. You'll probably observe those people probably including a little bit of animal products in their diet at some stage. Okay, so do not be surprised. Don't be shocked if on Facebook or any of the social medias you look at someone who refers to themselves as plant-based, and then you have a look around, you see that they're including a little bit of animal products in their diet. Okay, it's just a term. Now, when we come to whole food plant-based, okay, a whole food plant-based person would never touch Beyond Burger. Would never touch. What's the other one? There's Beyond Burger, and there's another one I've forgotten the name of. Impossible Burger. Thank you very much, Mahalia.
What is it? Burger?
Beg your pardon?
What is it? Impossible Burger? I didn't understand.
Impossible Burger. And
there's also Omni Pork.
Yes, there's also Omni Pork. Interestingly enough, there's also another one that's come out, ZME. I'm friends with a number of the people that make these because I have a lot of friends who are vegans and who are suppliers of vegan foods, okay? And they very kindly try and offer me these foods and I just decline, okay? Now, I'm not saying that that I'm against those. It's just, remember what I said, there's a continuum. You get to decide how healthy you want to be, okay? And like I say, you don't have to do it overnight. So a lot of people you find are transitioning. I've known Darcy for a while, and Darcy and her husband Habib have been transitioning from an opportunistic omnivore diet, which is, like I say, it's the predominant paradigm, and then into vegetarianism for a while, and then veganism, and now they're transitioning or looking at whole food, plant-based, no oil. Okay, so some people it takes time. Like I say, there are people like myself and say Dr. Greger and Dr. McDougall or Dr. Esselstyn. Something happened to us and we made this decision a long time ago and we changed. Because 38 years ago, the Pritikin diet, whole food, plant-based, no oil, that's what I ate, okay? Yeah. And I attribute my current state of health to 38 years of predominantly eating this way, okay? But so saying that, if you change your diet now, you will still see rapid results, okay? So it just happened that I started a bit earlier. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, kind of. So I have to do some little bit research because I'm not that much clear about these different kinds of foods. Because basically I eat non-veg, but very little, like once in a week and very little. And I have my son who eats only KFC chicken. Otherwise, he doesn't eat chicken or maybe Indian chicken. And my husband, he is a pure vegetarian from his childhood. Like he never ate any fish, chicken, or nothing like that. But now I'm learning that eggs are also animal based. It's not plant based. So yeah, I'm learning new things here, which
Well, if we keep it to, you've got two ways of looking at it: what it is and what it is not. Okay. Now, what I will do is, after class is finished, I will give you an extra book. Okay. It's actually a little pamphlet. It was written by Dr. McDougall, and it talks about the red light, yellow light, and green light foods. Okay. So eggs are basically just, what would I say, concentrated cholesterol and meat packed inside a shell. It's a little chicken. It's meant to be a little chicken. Okay. And so the problem is that I would say most of us have been socially conditioned to close our eyes and not look at this, not question it. And it has led us to a situation where we are passive with our nutrition and our health, and we're paying the price for it. Now, it's very interesting that tonight we are all ladies here. And I would have to say this: we do have a couple of men in the graduates, both of them called Alan, by the way. And it's a very interesting thing is that a lot of men have been strongly conditioned to eat what is put in front of them by a woman, okay? And one of the reasons why you tend not to see as many men in these courses is because there is a type of passivity in a man's mind that goes, I just eat what's in front of me. I eat what's convenient because I've been trained from a child. Whereas women are probably more likely from a younger age to have been involved in the producing of food, in which case they have had a say in what was produced. Okay. And we will look at this in more detail. Let me see. Let me see. When do we have?
In that case, my husband, like in my husband's family, everyone ate meat, and it was in front of him, the meat, but he never had it since his childhood, and he just did not eat meat.
I have actually met a number of people who, as children, they did not accept the social conditioning that you eat animals. They questioned it. And these people just could not turn off that filter and think, this is not a chicken, this is just food, okay? And we will explore that. We actually do cover that towards the end of the course, how the mind has played tricks on us so that we can eat things because we're socially conditioned to eat them, okay? It's very sad too, because there's a number of people who grow up in families who are aware of this and who suddenly realize they don't need it, they don't want it. But the dynamics in the family, quite often they're forced to eat it. I know as a child, I did not want to eat animal products and things like that. I ate it because, I mean, otherwise I would be in trouble if I didn't eat what was put in front of me. My mother was a terrible cook. She's a really bad cook even now. But the thing is that I did not have a choice. I did not have any autonomy over my food, except what I could choose from what was put on the table. So I'll tell you quite honestly, my sister, who hated vegetables, I used to pass my meat underneath the table, and she used to pass me her vegetables, okay, when mum wasn't looking. And when I was in the army, when I was in my early 20s, I had the same dynamic. When we went off on maneuvers and things like that, I had no problem getting someone to dig my foxhole, dig a hole, you know, you get in like that. Any one of those other soldiers would volunteer to do all my heavy work just to have the meat rations in my backpack, okay? So there are some people who have awareness. I'm not saying that they're better or worse. We're not talking about ethics here. We're not talking about moral superiority. We're just talking about people who could actually see what's happening, okay? And for me, the big eye-opener was when I was a nurse. I went nursing when I was 18. I left university. I went nursing for 3 years. It's like being in the army in Australia. I was working in the biggest hospital in Australia, and I saw only sick people. And I got to know them. I got to find out about them, and they told me, and I observed them, and I realized they were all sick because they were eating crap. They thought they were eating right because they were told to, okay? But they got sick because of their habits. Okay. And that was when I went plant-based. It was just like, boing, it just opened up. Okay. More questions?
I noticed you were talking about root vegetables, but I was just curious your position on rice and what rice we should be looking at.
Okay. It's unfortunate that you're not going to be able to receive our starter pack, like the boxes, because Cheryl's actually in Vietnam. She was in Shenzhen, but she got to Vietnam and she's now stuck there. So I have for everybody else is going to get, let me see, they've already got 5 bags sitting in the room there, and 2 of those bags have rice in them. One is red rice, it's a long grain red rice, and the other one is a short grain brown rice, okay? Now, as we go through the program, you will learn that we are predominantly starchivores, okay? So rice is fine.
Okay.
The only problem, there's only one caveat I have to say with rice is, like wheat and other grains, because of our technology, you know, the clever monkey, we took the outer covering off the rice, which has quite a lot of the nutrients we need, okay? And so you will see all throughout Asia, a lot of people eating white rice because they have the technology to polish it off, okay? I do believe, however, though, there is a whitish rice in India
Yes, it's called basmati.
Basmati. It has fiber in it, but it's whiter, okay? So yeah, it's a fascinating topic, but the stance is rice is perfectly okay, just what?
Moderate.
Moderate.
Maybe moderate.
Oh, and as I was saying to Darcy, there's a lady called Kimberly Ashton. She teaches these similar sorts of programs, a macrobiotic program in Shanghai. And she teaches all her students to make sure that they have half a cup to a cup of cooked brown rice every day. Okay. And one of the things that you will find if you did that, you can have some mini challenges if you like. You could try eating a cup of brown rice every day once you get your samples, and just have a look at your bowel movements, because they will have increased in size. And what it does is it actually helps to eliminate a lot of the fecal matter that is caught in the pockets of the intestines. And as we get older, like a young baby's intestines are like silky smooth, you know, it just goes straight through them. They don't have any pockets. But as we get older, quite often our intestines end up with little pockets, and there's a lot of fecal matter caught on the inside, and brown rice actually pulls it through. Okay. So it's a positive thing.
Excellent, thank you.
I have a question about soy products. Because I know there's like texturized soy products, and then there's like soy that's maybe braised with like soy sauce and that kind of a thing. Does that fall under processed?
That's a very good question, Mahalia. Actually, it depends on the product itself. So, for example, tamari, which is a fermented product made from soybeans. What else? Soy sauce, tempeh, tofu. They're all made from soybeans.
Oh, tofu, yeah.
Tofu. They're all acceptable, okay? As long as they do not have any chemicals added to them. Now, a lot of people are very scared of eating soy products because of the sort of the bad reputation that soy has had. I will just say this. The vast majority of soybeans have been grown and they're GMO, and they're grown to feed animals, okay? The vast majority. I think it's something like, it's either 85% or 95%. Don't quote me on that, but it's somewhere in those figures. Now, the smaller percentage, which is actually fed to human beings, is predominantly not GMO. Okay.
Okay.
So you don't need to worry about that as an issue. Okay.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
but the problem is that it was probably around about, let me see, 20 or 30 years ago, the dairy industry felt extremely threatened by the rise of Asia, okay, and the economic situation in Asia. And so they started setting out propaganda to say that soy milk was bad for you because they wanted to get dairy products into Asia, which they succeeded. Okay. Now, the Asians have been raised for centuries on a diet that was fairly heavily, included soy products, and it's one of the reasons why they have lower rates of breast cancer, they believe. Okay, it's a big topic. Okay, but we can go into that further probably when we're looking at beans. Let me see, where are we going to cover beans? I think day 9, we talk about batch cooking and beans. Okay. So if you want more information on that, put it in the chat group, put your question there, and I can add that information. If I don't have time to cover it in one of my classes, I can leave videos for you to go and get more information on it, or I can post a book. Probably videos a little bit easier.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Thanks.
Darcy, do you have any questions?
No, I mean, I kind of, I get more information from you by coming in a lot of the time. So I don't have any questions right now, but probably, further into the program.
Okay, great. Silvana, do you have any questions? Is any good typing? Okay. Are there any typing? Because I don't see any typing there. No?
No, she said not right now.
Not right now.
Okay, no problems. All right then, if no one's got any more questions, I shall love you and leave you all. I'm going to be recording a couple of videos tonight and having them edited for you in the morning. You have got quite a lot there. Tomorrow, sorry, I'm just going to move my computer. We'll be I'll be giving you some information on shopping tips. I'll be going through appliances, okay, some appliances, okay. And I guess it's a Saturday. If you get a chance and you're up for it, go through your pantry. You could take a before and after photo and maybe separate the items that are not compliant. That's a word you're going to hear quite a lot of, compliant, okay? It means that it fits with the concept of whole food, plant-based, no oil. Remember, there's no pass or fail, okay? We're just trying to get as close as we can to compliancy, okay? So you can start cleaning out your pantry. I will send you probably tomorrow morning Dr. Gregor's shopping list for your pantry. So you don't have to carry the book around. You can actually just have that shopping list. You are going to get some ring binder folders, and a lot of these PDFs you can keep inside them so that you've got them for reference, including your recipes and stuff that I'll be sending you. And tomorrow, I think you've got a video to watch, Healing People in the Planet by Dr. Clapper. Okay. I love Dr. Clapper. He is awesome. He is such a sweet man. And he's actually very close friends with Dr. Malcolm Mackay and Jenny Cameron. He's just a really nice man. Okay, so I think you'll enjoy that one. And on Sunday, yeah, you've got work to do on Sunday. Okay, so no questions. We can end there. I hope you've enjoyed your first day.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right.
All right, bye.
Bye.